implementation of the national security law sets the bottom line and providing guarantee for stability. And investors who respect the rules can actually operate at ease. And after 2019, it's due to the support of our nation, strong nation, that Hong Kong's prosperity can be maintained. The national security law is the best protective net for Hong Kong. It also enhances facilitates the smooth flow of logistics and other areas key to trade. Right now, Hong Kong remains among the freest economies in the world. It's also a place where various talents are concentrated. And Hong Kong is really a place where we are acting as a super connector, connecting the mainland with the international community. So we can here help connect the mainland market with various overseas markets, and that's the best propaganda or publicity for the usefulness of national security. Thank you. Next one is number 2. You have 2.5 minutes. Hong Kong all along has been an international cosmopolitan city where East meets West, and it's also a key point for overseas enterprises to set up shop here. But after 2019, there seems to be some misunderstanding by the international community. You may still remember vividly what happened in 2019. When you were out on the street, you were worried. When I was driving, my way was blocked by black-clad protesters. I wonder why Hong Kong became like that. It's because there were risks and loopholes in our national security. And when personal security cannot be secured, how can we have a favorable business environment? Therefore, in 2020, June 30th, the implementation of national security law brought a new beginning. But since then, Hong Kong has been smeared by international organizations which released false reports, causing some doubts among the international community. The implementation of the national security law and Article 23 fosters stability in Hong Kong and further optimizes the business environment here. If I were a LegCo member, I would tell the true situations of Hong Kong to the international community. I would introduce to them that the implementation of the security law is key to enhancing stability and prosperity here. Each nation has its own national security law, and the implementation of the law mainly targets at the villains and terrorists. Looking at the figures based on the report by the World Bank, among 50 economies, Hong Kong ranks among the 10 best-performing economic entities. And under one country, two systems, Hong Kong's uniqueness has continued, and also it's remained the freest and safest city in the world. Its rule of law and independent judiciary have been respected. And the national security law provides a safer, more stable environment for investors. Their rights are being protected, and that can foster the long-term development of the local economy. We do welcome various enterprises, investors to continue to develop their business in Hong Kong and to share in capitalizing on the business opportunities here. Now I'll go to the second question, which is, there are views that Hong Kong's education system is biased towards assessment and examinations, which is not favorable to the development of students' critical thinking. What do you think? How can the government, through curriculum design, foster innovative thinking and also foster students' whole person development so that students with various interests, abilities, and backgrounds can fully utilize their potential? W2 candidate can answer first. You have 2.5 minutes. Hong Kong's existing examination and assessment system relies on public examinations, of which the most well-known, of course, is DSE. It is a credible and standardized, internationally recognized examination and provides for students and investors clear qualifications. But the drawbacks is that it has imposed heavy pressure on students, and its assessment overemphasizes academic knowledge, neglecting students' other abilities. Hong Kong has seen tragedies of students who have taken their own lives because of academic pressure. That's not what we want to see. How can we foster students' hope and development? I think we need to work on the assessment system and the education environment. We need to multi-purpose assessment. So we need to have all kinds of assessments, for example, of creativity, sports, arts, and so forth. And secondly, we need to enhance hope and development. Besides studying, we need to train up students' empathy, sense of responsibility, personal values, resilience, and also social skills. Thirdly, we need to change the concepts of education. Teachers should be patient with students and try to stimulate students' sense of curiosity, to teach them to explore on their own and to study and learn on their own. And fourthly, we need to broaden the definition of success. Success is to be defined by the person themselves. To me, being able to serve the public, and I think that would be a kind of success for me. The educational assessment system in Hong Kong needs to be reformed, and it requires the efforts of schools and parents. And we need to change from a uniform school-oriented assessment to an assessment system emphasizing multiple areas so that Hong Kong can produce the right talents for the future. Thank you. The next one is number 1. You have 2.5 minutes to answer the question. Examination system all along has been effective in Hong Kong in selecting talents, and it has been working well. But in the last few years, because of the changes in the macro environment, we need to have further fine-tuning. In the past few years, we've seen news of secondary and primary students under pressure from academic work, examinations, and tragedies occurred. As a teacher, I find it very sad. Education determines the future of a city. Students in Hong Kong need not just high scores, but also a multi-purpose and diverse system. And that's also the quality that the import-export sector values the most, including creative thinking, ability to handle crisis, and diverse thinking. You need to take reference to the education framework reform in China, launched by the Ministry of Education there. We do not just look at the scores, but also look at the 5 other virtues like aesthetics, ethics, and so forth of students. You need to encourage students to join more international academic exchanges so that students can have balanced development, and the character development can also be enhanced. Besides primary and secondary students, in my election platform, I also mentioned that we need to train up international trading experts or talents. We hope that the government can create more efforts in providing VPAT education and explore the various strengths of young people so that they can have diverse development pathways. We should not just rely on one examination to determine a person's future. We need to develop students with a proper character and also who's patriotic as well. We need to provide the talents who can face up to various challenges in an ever-changing environment. And we need to nurture graduates who can be resilient and cope with changing environment. We can produce high-quality talents here in Hong Kong. Now, we've come to the third question. The question is, in recent years, there has been a lot of attention to climate change internationally. Hong Kong, as a coastal city, also faces the challenges of rising sea level and extreme weather. What do you think Hong Kong should do to enhance collaborations with the international community and to resist disasters so as to cope with the challenges brought by climate change? Candidate number 1 first. You have 2.5 minutes. Extreme weather actually has posed an impact on Hong Kong's livelihood and economy. Including this year, we have seen the attacks of various strong winds and typhoons causing much inconvenience and heavy blow to our economy and daily living. So we need to pay much attention to the extreme weather. Particularly for the import-export sector, extreme weather changes have created much variations and uncertainties in the trade internationally, and the number of typhoons in Hong Kong have raised the cost of logistics and warehousing costs, affecting the stability of our business operations. Under the typhoon number 8, we've seen friends whose goods could not be shipped into the warehouse and causing losses to the operators in the end. I think we can abide by the following suggestions from me. To cope, first, we should use AI technology to create smart systems so that logistics can be connected with weather warning systems, so that those in the logistics trade can be warned in advance of weather changes. And secondly, we need to strengthen our mutual assistance mechanism. For example, in the case of extreme weather, there could be exemption for delivering goods under the agreement with the international system. And also, for the import-export sector, we need to streamline the custom clearing procedures to reduce the exposures caused by extreme weather. More importantly, we need to further strengthen weather and logistic report system between various cities so that logistics business can be forewarned about weather changes so that preparations can be made in advance. Thank you. Now may I invite candidate number 2 to respond. You have 2.5 minutes. Extreme weather is the common challenge faced in the whole world. Between nations, they should collaborate tightly in order to achieve the goal of fighting extreme weather. Our nation, as a responsible nation, has all along been implementing the Paris Agreement. And by 2030 and 2060, they're going to reach the double carbon goals. And we need to achieve the goal of the Paris Agreement. And Hong Kong has come up with the 2050 plan. That is, we need to achieve the goal of carbon neutrality and also reduce carbon emission by half in due course. How can we do that? We need to address the issue at the root cause. In the face of disasters looming, we need to enhance our ability to resist the disasters. We need to address the issue by collaborating more with the international community to reduce carbon emissions so as to tackle the issue at source. And also the government has various green policies, for example, the green bonds, green financing, green loans, and so forth, which can promote total green transformation in the economy. And also we need to enhance our ability to resist disasters. Firstly, we can do that by furthering collaborations at the regional level. Hong Kong shared weather data with various other countries and also take reference from the experiences on the mainland and other countries in coping with disasters. We can share our technologies and also information. And together with cities in the Greater Bay Area, we can work on a mutually agreed standards on how to prevent floods. And we also need to enhance public awareness to involve the public more and also to involve educational organizations, international associations, and media to publicize abilities and skills to resist disasters and avoid them as well. And we need to enhance public awareness more at the community level. With the support of the nation, Hong Kong can play the role and also utilize its ability to link up with international communities and also try to work together with international communities to create a safer future. Now it's time for cheering up the 2 candidates. Each campaign team has 30 seconds to cheer up the candidate. They will be cheering up in ascending order in terms of the candidate's number.
For cheering team of candidate number 1, you have 30 seconds. time's up. Thank you. Next, moving on to segment 3, random question draws. Let me once again introduce the two candidates to you. W1, Tommy Chong, merchant. He claims to be an independent candidate. W2, Sophia Lee, company director, district councillor. She claims to have no political affiliation. In segment 3, random question draws, there are two envelopes, A and B. They contain two different questions. In the first round, candidate number 2 will pick one envelope and answer the question therein. The question of the remaining envelope will be taken by candidate number 1. In the second round, candidate number 1 will pick an envelope, and then we will follow this order. There are a total of 3 rounds in this segment. In each round, each candidate has 2.5 minutes to answer the question. In the first round, candidate number 2 will pick an envelope first. I have envelopes A and B. Which one will you pick? Candidate number 2 picks A. The question is, emerging industries and technologies such as e-commerce and blockchain logistics are driving the rapid digitalization of global trade. What specific suggestions do you have to speed up the digital transformation of the import and export sector and improve the overall efficiency and transparency of the industry? You have 2.5 minutes. Thank you very much. Speaking of e-commerce, it's a very mature industry. We must use e-commerce when we engage in business transactions. SMEs need to consider how they can make better use of e-commerce. Say when it comes to AI, that is artificial intelligence, you can improve efficiency and you can also reduce your costs. In respect of blockchain, we can improve efficiency as well. At the same time, we can reduce costs. And we can also use digital currency when it comes to the blockchain technology. This will also speed up our transactions. Thank you. In other words, candidate number 1 will answer the question in envelope 1B. The question is, the Hong Kong import and export sector is facing different challenges. We are short of skilled workers. Youngsters don't have a strong incentive to enter the industry. There are aging and attrition in respect of entry-level workers, such as logistics repair. So, what suggestions do you have for promoting local technical talent training and attracting young people to the industry to strengthen the sustainable development of the industry? You have 2.5 minutes. Thank you for your questions. Different industries are facing the challenges of upgrading and transformation, especially for the import and export sector. We're short of skilled workers in different areas. It is not the case that we lack training, but we lack a targeted approach. We lack targeted AI technologies. We lack new technologies. We need a training mechanism. Of course, we have a qualification framework, but there needs to be room for further improvement. A lot of people think when we develop AI, new technologies, that will replace traditional workers. However, we actually need to provide training when it comes to using AI technologies. This will help different industries, including the import and export sector, to upgrade and transform. This will help workers to adapt to new environment and improve their work efficiency. So if elected, I will promote AI application training in our industry. I am a lecturer. I will also invite the relevant professionals to provide sufficient training for our industry. As I understand, the Hong Kong TDC as well as another organization are working very hard on this front, but there is still room for improvement. When we see an improvement, we will be able to attract more new blood to the industry. This will intrigue youngsters to join the industry. That is because they can harness new technologies. When they are equipped with AI skills, they can take up different positions, or even they can tap different markets such as the Belt and Road Initiative markets. They will stay highly competitive to tell the good stories of Hong Kong and those of China. They can spread the good stories for us. Thank you. Next, candidate number 1 will choose envelope. There are A and B. Which one will you choose? B. Candidate number 1 has chosen B. The question is, SMEs play a very important role in Hong Kong's import and export sector. However, they often face challenges such as insufficient resources when tapping overseas markets. How do you think the government and the industry should support SMEs in going global? You have 2.5 minutes. SMEs account for over 98% of the companies in Hong Kong. This is in relation to the figures in Hong Kong. They play a very important role in our economy. However, there are changes in the general and macro environment against the backdrop of China-US trade wars. The reality is that the European market and the U.S. market are very important markets for us. However, on account of a lot of different uncertainties and volatility in the market, they weigh on our exports. Despite this, the European and the U.S. markets are still very important markets for us. That's exactly why we need to attach a lot of importance to these markets. We need to tap different markets, including the government and the industry. They need to support this direction. They need to help our industries to diversify our risks. We also need to tap different new opportunities, such as the Middle East market, as well as other markets. If elected, I will work together with different chambers of commerce to reactivate EMF and to enhance the Bud Fund, especially for the trade single window with Belt and Road Initiative countries. We will also be working together with the task force on going global of the government to expand our policies so that we can tap the Belt and Road Initiative new markets. In my platform, I mentioned that we need to further develop Hong Kong into a high-value added supply chain services as well as an international mediation hub. All these roles will help Hong Kong enterprises to go global. This will add further value to these enterprises. This is exactly the role of Hong Kong as a super connector and a super value adder. That's all from me. Thank you. In other words, candidate number 2 will take the question in envelope 2A. Amid volatility in the international market, trade finance costs are going up alongside increased exchange rates and credit risks. How do you think we should provide more stable and competitive financing channels for SME trading enterprises? You have 2.5 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you. SMEs do face issues with financing. And banks often need to see a lot of evidence before they will agree to lend money to SMEs. We would suggest that they apply firstly for the government support like BUD, because there are companies, SMEs who want to explore overseas markets are qualified to apply, but many may not know that under BUD there are various types of plans. One is for general applications, And then there are also others catering for e-commerce operations. 2 days ago, when I visited a traditional retail wholesale company, they told me that financing is not easy. And I suggested to them that maybe they can try, apply for BUD. Maybe that can provide short-term support for them and provide them with better cash flow. For example, for easy, but each time you can apply for an amount of $100,000, and application period can be reduced from 6 months to 3 months. So for SMEs, for them to quickly obtain money for short-term needs to explore overseas markets and so forth, that's a good option, indeed. And also, for banks, they actually, if they can use blockchains, they can divide the applicants by industries and put data of various industries in the blockchains, which then can allow them to use the smart contracts to, on the basis of data, access all the information needed before releasing money to those who've applied. Now is the third round of Q&A by John Ross. I'll ask candidate 2 to select an envelope. A and B, which envelope would you choose? A. Okay, W2 has chosen envelope A. The question in it is, the Greater Bay Area is an important engine for local economic growth. It's also an important portal for goods coming in and out of the country. The Import-Export Center in Hong Kong, in your view, how can it capitalize on the production chain in the Greater Bay Area to further enhance its competitiveness? You have 2.5 minutes. Thank you. The Greater Bay Area is really a good region for Hong Kong enterprises to attract businesses and develop operations there. It's close to Hong Kong. And the first thing that we need to work on is to have sharing of data with Greater Bay Area. Although when we talk about promoting digitization, we need data which can be shared freely. And the Greater Bay Area can be the first pilot area where we can try, say, in the Loop area, for example, there can be a pilot area where data of the Greater Bay Area can be shared with Hong Kong. And then, after that, we can replicate the same operations or same mode in other places to facilitate more extensive sharing of data. Data sharing equals to money sharing, allowing the smooth flow of money. So a lot more can be done with that kind of free flow of money. And the Greater Bay Area can also come up with a Bay Area standards. I'm sure there are lots of SMEs with quality products. And if they can use Hong Kong standards and import their products in the Greater Bay Area, that is, well, the Greater Bay Area standards can be actually the same as Hong Kong standards, then the Hong Kong products will be able to have a much bigger market, from a 7 million market in Hong Kong to a vast market of 80 million. So in a short period of time, we can help SMEs in Hong Kong explore vast space for expanding their business. That's the end of my answer. Thank you. So in other words, W1 would answer the question in envelope B. The question is, in recent years, the global supply chain, because of geopolitics, tensions there, and also changes in trade policy, have restructured. What do you think Hong Kong should do? What concrete measures we should have to consolidate our position as an international trading hub, and also help the import-export sector explore new markets, particularly in ASEAN, Middle East, and One Belt, One Road areas? You have 2.5 minutes. Thank you, MC, for your question.
大環境多變嘅情況
In an
下，
ever-changing macro
確實，
environment,
我
of
哋香港
course,
嘅角色
Hong Kong's role
要揾到自己嘅出路定位。
needs to be
我喺我嘅政綱
repositioned.
亦都
We need
提
to
到過。
find a way
我哋要
out.
打造
I mentioned in my
香
election
港作為
platform
高增值
that we need
品
to
牌服務
create
樞
Hong
紐、
Kong
高
as a
增值
hub
供
for
應鏈
high
服務中心、
value
品牌創意之都
added
同埋國際調解之都。
services, and also to be
呢
a
一系列嘅角色
capital of
係幫助
mediation.
我哋香港
And all
站
these
好
roles can
喺個
help
全球
Hong
市場入
Kong
邊站穩站好。
stand firm in the
幫助
international
我哋嘅國
market.
家服
It
務
can
我哋
also
嘅國家
help
喺呢
serve
個
our
地緣
nation
經濟、
in the
地
midst
緣
of
政
the
治多變嘅環境下，
ever-changing
更加
geopolitics,
團結。
and
更加
to help
統一
us
去面
more
對
stay more
外國
unified and
嘅一
firm
個挑戰同埋
in
壓力。
serving our country in the face of
打造呢
external
個品
pressure.
牌創意之都，
To create
我
Hong Kong
哋
as the
應該要
capital
加
of
快香
brands,
港作
we
為
need to
國際
accelerate
知識
Hong
產權
Kong's
嘅高效交易中心，
center as
重
a
新集中翻
high-end,
喺周邊市場
efficient，
包括新興市場，
center
啱
for
啱主持
keeping
人提到嘅
intellectual
中東、
properties.
中亞、東盟等等國家
ASEAN, Middle
喺
East,
香
one by one
去
road
註冊國
areas,
國際知識
they
產權。
can have the
以香港作為
intellectual
公司嘅
properties
註冊
registered
地
in Hong Kong and
分
have their
公司嘅
companies
註冊地
registered in Hong
同
Kong
埋以香港
or
作
the
為商務
subsidiaries
合約
registered
嘅
here as
簽
well,
署地
and
同埋
also
商務調解
have
中心，
their trade disputes
將
settled in Hong
所
Kong
有
and
我哋流失咗
contracts
嘅
signed
物
in
流、
Hong Kong
人
as well,
流、
so that
錢流
the
重
logistics
新匯聚
or
於
the
香
money
港。
flow that we've lost can be
香港再唔
returned,
係過去一
regathered in
個
Hong Kong.
左右手
Hong
嘅
Kong will no
一個左
longer
手交右手嘅一個
be
進出口角色。
a
香港應
mere
該係一個可以
import
高增
export
值賦能
trading hub,
喺
but
國
Hong
家
Kong
15
can be
規
a
劃嘅
high-end
大
and
環境、大
also
背景下面，
city
更加
that
有效
brings
幫助
additional
我哋
value
香港
to the
本土企
nation
業，
under the 15
幫助
five-year
內
plan,
地嘅企
and
業，
also to
包
help
括
local
央
and
企、
mainland
國企
enterprises,
甚至民
including
企
central
走出去國外，
enterprises, state-owned
走去
enterprises,
新興
or
市場、中東市場、
our
中
private
亞市
enterprises
場、
to
東盟
enter
國家等
the
等，
markets in ASEAN
為
and
國家
Middle
服
East
務好我
and
哋嘅
other
角色。
places, and
呢一
Hong
個
Kong
發展
can serve
可能會
the
相比
economic
我
interests
哋
of
以
our
前幾十
nation
年前
well
講
compared
嘅
to
左
our
手交
road
右手嘅規
decades
劃，
ago
會
when we
更
were
上一
an
層次。
outstanding import-export hub.
所以
We
我
can
希望擔
actually
任呢個
ascend
立
to
法
a
會議
higher
員，
standing,
去做好呢個引導
provide
角
even
色，
higher level
去幫
services.
商界
I'm
發
sure
聲，
as electrical member, we can
聯
play
同
the
商
role
會
of
一
speaking
齊
out for the
去
sector,
帶領我哋
and
中小
together
企，
with chambers
帶
of
領內地嘅
commerce,
企
we
業
can
一
lead
齊走出
mainland
去。
enterprises
時
and local
間夠，
SMEs to enter
嚟
the
到最
international
後一
markets.
個環
Time's
節
up.
係總
Now
結
is
部
the
分。
last segment, which is
再一
summing
次
up by the
介
two
紹兩位
candidates.
候
Let me
選人。
introduce to you the two
W1
candidates.
鍾其
W1,
峰
Tommy
商
Chong,
人，報稱
merchant,
獨立
with
候
no
選人。
political affiliation.
W2
He's an independent
李
candidate.
淑媛，
W2,
公司
Sophia
董
Lee,
事，
company
區議員，
director, district
報稱
councillor,
沒有
with
政治
no
聯
political
繫。
affiliation.
嚟到最後總
So
結部
now,
分，
in this
每位
summing
候
up
選人
session,
將會有
each
1
candidate
分
will
鐘
have
嘅
1
時間，
minute
按編號大至小
according
輪流發言。 先有
to their
請
number
2號
to
候
speak
選
in
人，
a
你有
ascending
1分
order
鐘嘅
according
時
to
間。
the number.
各位香港市民、各位進出口界別嘅
Number
選
two.
民，感謝大家出席今日嘅論
Electors
壇，
in
俾
the
到我無限嘅
import-export
支持同埋鼓
sector,
勵。
thank you for your
進出口
support,
界
which
嘅
has
前
given me
輩
much
用數十
encouragement.
年嘅汗水同
And
埋
our
智慧，
seniors in the
為我
sector
哋
have
鋪設
spent
咗通達
decades
全球嘅網絡，
developing
建立咗香
global
港作為
networks for
國
our
際商貿
import-export
中心
sector
嘅
and
金
have
漆
turned
招牌。
Hong Kong into
呢
a
份基業，我
well-known
哋必須珍視傳
trading
承，
hub.
並
We
喺呢
need
個基礎
to,
上開
on
創未
this
來。
basis, explore
我
even
如果
better
當選，
futures.
將
If
扮
I
演好
were
傳承
elected,
者
I will
嘅
play
角
the
色，
role
邀
of
請業
someone
內前
passing
輩
on
組
what has
成
been done
顧
by
問，
our
虛心聆聽，吸取
seniors,
智慧。
and we need to learn
同時，
lessons
我
from
會以
what
創
we
新
have
思
seen and
維
we've done
以
in
及
the
我
past,
喺商
and
會
we
同埋
also
區
I
議
also
會嘅
use
實幹
innovative
經驗
thinking
帶入
and
立法
based on my
會，
practical
幫助
experience
業
in the
界
district
擁抱
council
科技，
to
做
help
好
the
監
sector
督同
embrace
埋配合
technology
政
and
府
play a
施
good
政嘅
monitoring
角
role
色，
and also to
見證一
support
個
the
更高
government's
質量嘅
policies
貿易
in the
新時
electrical
代。
chamber.
10月7
And
日，
also
請支持
December
我
7th,
2號
please support me.
多謝大家。
Number 2, Sophia Lee.
跟住落嚟有請1
Next,
號候
let's
選
hear
人，
from
你
candidate
有1
number
分鐘嘅
1.
時
You
間
have 1 minute.
香港市民、進出口
Members
界
of the
嘅朋友、
public,
香港中華出
electors
口
in the
商會嘅
import
朋
and
友，
export
大家好。
sector,
如果
the
我有
Hong
幸
Kong
當
Chinese
選，
Importers and
第一，
Exporters
我會聯同香港
Association's
中華出口
members.
商會以及商界精英
If
成立智庫
elected,
小組，
I will
為進出口業
form
界制定發展
a
藍
think
圖，
tank
針對
with
業
the
界嘅痛
industry.
點、
We
盲
will
點，
develop
去向政
a
府提出
development
相關
blueprint
嘅
to
政
target
策
the
建
pain
議。
points of our
第二，
industry. We
係
will
建
also
立定
float
期嘅政策
proposals
交
to the
流會，
government
為議會討論熱點
Next,
同
we
埋
will
行
also
業相關
hold
政策，
regular
提供一個
meetings
討論學習平台。
to discuss
我會繼續親力
issues
親為走
about
訪
our
唔同進
industry.
出口企業，了解
I
行
will
業嘅
continue
最
to
新動
visit
向，
different
及時向
enterprises
政府
to
反饋，爭取政
move
府
with
支
the
持，
times. We
引
will
導我
also
哋
be
進出口業界
reflecting,
升級轉型。
also be
我想強調，我唔
relaying the
係一
feedback
個
to
人
the
嘅立法
government.
會議員。
I'm not just one member of the Legislative Council. I am one representing the Hong Kong Chinese Importers and Exporters Association. I represent the entire Hong Kong. Thank you.
功能界別進出口界嘅兩位候選人，佢哋分別係 W1 中期豐商人，報稱獨立候選人 ；W2 李淑媛公司董事、區議員，報稱沒有政治聯繫。
No political
功能界
affiliation
別進出口界
reported.
嘅選舉論壇已
That is
經
the
完
end of the
成，大
election
家記
forum
得
of
12
the
月7
import
日
and export
踴躍
sector.
投票，
Please
多
remember
謝
to
各位嘅
vote
參
on the
與。
7th of December. Thank you for your participation.